Welcome to the Women's Money Wisdom Podcast. I'm Melissa Joy, a certified financial planner and the founder of Pearl Planning. My goal is to help you streamline and organize your finances, navigate big money decisions with confidence, and be strategic in order to grow your wealth. As a woman, you work hard for your money, and I'm here to help you make the most of it. Now, let's get into the show. Happy New Year's Eve week, everyone. It's Melissa Joy here today, and I wanted to take a pause, really slow down in today's episode. We don't have a guest, it's just me talking to you. But I thought it would be nice to close out the year with some intention and some space to really refresh the money mindset as you reflect upon 2025. I think there's so much hustle and bustle when it comes to this time of year. If you're like me, year end feels like just a treadmill that keeps getting faster, and I'm not built for fast treadmills. And so I really wanted to take a little bit of time and acknowledge that challenge and give you some good framework to be thinking into the new year. So this is like our exhale episode. It's continuing the theme that we talked about over the summer of slowing down to do better. It's also giving you an opportunity to focus on the tiny little joys that are really working for you when it comes to your money. And so, we're going to be a little shorter than typical episodes, but I want to encourage you to just, have a little bit of a mindset and meditation framework as you take it all in today. And if you have a sheet of paper and want to jot down a few things, I would love to encourage you at the end of our conversation to set a few intentions for the new year, not a to-do list and not your resolutions yet or necessarily. In fact, we'll be having an episode next week that's all about how to start the new year and is less mindset and more to-dos and technical. But in the meantime, let's just go through a few exercises to see how you're doing. And if you're not feeling all that positive, I hope I can give you some encouragement to reset the framework of how you're feeling about yourself and your money. So topic number one, I think, is to audit and make a list of your financial wins. So what happened this year that isn't negative, isn't glass half empty, isn't scarcity mode, that really worked well for you? It could be just noting some improvement, even if it's just listening to a few of these podcast episodes over the year. Is there something that you did that you might not have acknowledged, whether it was bumping up your savings rate, finally getting your beneficiary designations checked off the list, making the right withholding elections when it comes to your taxes? So record those invisible wins that you might not have given yourself credit for. Is there something you bought or received or gifted that really brought you joy? Did you make a charitable contribution to an organization that you love, or make a purchase? As a client told me one time this year, he said, I'm really happy with the money I've spent this year. And I just paused and really appreciated that moment and that comment, because I feel like oftentimes there's shame when it comes to spending money. And that is, kind of not necessarily a requirement when it comes to spending. You don't have to feel shameful about how you spend money. Did you do anything that was kind of recurring, like an automatic investment, an increase to your retirement contributions, an automatic payment to a piece of debt that is really compounding just with a habit of recurring items? If you're doing those types of things, give yourself credit for that too. Number 2 on my list of things to do today is release some guilt when it comes to money. Now, those of you listening who are just like, what's guilt? I don't have any guilt when it comes to my money conversations. Well, kudos to you, because so many people, when I'm talking to them one-on-one, share feelings of shame or guilt that I don't think, well, I just know probably are really weighty to carry around from day to day. And so, if you have a lot of regret about past money actions that you don't have control over or the option to change, if you're constantly referring back to what if I had done things differently then or then, it might be time to let go of those burdens of guilt from the past. I'm not saying to make decisions that aren't in your favor going forward at all. But so many times people are anchored to a burden of disappointment and frustration from past financial decisions that are never going to be changed and just are part of your history, not a part of your present and future. And so I would encourage you to release some of that guilt and understand that, really you need to refresh and edit your money narrative. Um, if you've been in permanent purgatory when it comes to your past money behavior, and that's really how you define yourself, even if you're doing a great job today or you have trends of improvement, then um, my words to you would be is now the time to kind of make a break with that past. And is that past really, knowing about it and acknowledging it more harm than good? Number three is a reflection on your values and what wealth means to you. So, in so many cases, people in my world who think and talk about wealth all the time recognize that the people with the most are not always the people who have the biggest account balances. Um, Time is an extraordinary resource. Your relationships are so important. Um, Stuff and having the most stuff is not necessarily a measure of success. And so that is not the message we always receive when it comes to like the consumer cycle at the end of the year, when it comes to, what reels and shorts are telling you to focus on. And so I encourage you to spend some time thinking about what is really important to you, and prioritize the things that are most important to you. One of my intentions for 2026 is to focus on relationships and make time and space for the most important people in my life. It's really easy to schedule, meetings with friends who I really love that are professional, but there's not as many like kind of defaults for the people like family members and close friends who are not professional friends to automatically create space and time and prioritization. So that's one of the things I'm focusing on for next year. You might do a values exercise just with yourself or with your partner or family members, to determine what's most important to you, because this might help you to define when you're doing well, if you're spending on the things that align the most with your values. Um, Use an example from this year. We did not end up going through with it, but my family considered solar panels for our home, and it was all about the finances. In our my conversation with my husband, and financially, it didn't necessarily make sense because of a variety of factors. But then I like kind of rethought and reprioritized and said, as a family, kind of environmental considerations are really important to us. We might have a bigger environmental footprint because of the home that we have. And this decision would be aligned with our values on, making a priority for the environment. Ironically, it didn't matter because it was the pathway we were going down was not going to work out, wasn't feasible. But that was so much more that reframe was so much easier for me to make the decision with. And so, kind of just doing an assessment of where you see the most important things for you and your wealth, and defining it based on you, not society or outside influences, external forces, and then assessing how your life is aligning with either your values or the way that you see wealth, I think is so valuable. Um, The fourth thing I would mention is look for things that you can kind of set and forget. Look for things that you can set on recurring. This is a great tactic. Do you want to nudge up your savings or your goal for how much you have in emergency reserves? Um, do you want to go through and make sure all of your beneficiary designations are up to date? In this moment, I told you this wasn't about to do lists. Instead of getting things done and using this brief moment in time before the new year, if you're listening to the episode on the day it's released, to get a bunch of things done. Studies have shown that it can be really valuable to take that thought bubble that's above your head, that's constantly with you, thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. When are the presents going to wrap themselves? Like, there's just too many things on the to do list. But the to do list is, just this theoretical anxiety bubble that's following you around. If you can just make a list of the things that you need to do, then you can revisit that list in the new year and triage and prioritize what is most important. So do a little set and forget list of the things that you need to pick up in the new year, so that you are getting the to-do list done eventually. And it's also not just a burden that you're carrying with you into the new year. Um, and then looking forward, number 5, I think that a couple things that might assist in your resolutions. One of them is to pick a money word for the new year, a theme. Um, I have the same money word I'm going to use in 2026 that I used in 2025 because I think it helped me to give such better advice to people and also make decisions for myself. Whenever possible, if you can organize and simplify. Um, Fewer accounts, not more, unless there's a reason to have additional accounts. Um, Fewer logins and not more. Use the things that you use the most and don't constantly look to add things. Um, those that simplify, if you're struggling to find a theme or word for the year, is something that I would encourage more people to consider. And then also, maybe make a challenge where you have, something that you want to focus on that you spend 30 to 60 days focusing on. It may be reading a personal finance article every day for 30 days. It could be thinking about things that you really enjoy spending money on and having intention to splurge on some of those things because you found some extra room in the budget by editing or subtracting elsewhere. It could be a no spend January where you are, of course, spending on the essentials and paying your bills, but not doing as much discretionary spending for a brief moment in time and looking to see how you could save in that moment in time more. Maybe you're using up the gift cards that have been lingering or using a free cycle service to kind of barter or exchange things. So all of those would be under consideration and might be a fun challenge to set yourself up for to continue with this like fresh and maybe a little bit lighter mindset going into a new year. As I leave you, I would also encourage you to consider stop, start, and continue. So think through the things that you do over the next few weeks. And if there's something that isn't bringing you joy or is just like wasted money, a subscription you've signed up for that you've never used, stop it. So there's no time like the present, and it's always sometimes when you've signed up for something, you're like, "Oh, I'll get around to using it." But if you're really not using it, and if you get rid of all the subscriptions or recurring payments that are like that, even if you add 1 or 2 back, you're probably still ahead. If there's something you really want to do too, don't, start 15 things all at once, but maybe January is the time to get started. And then continue with intention for the things that really should stay the course. But acknowledge that you're continuing, and that's a decision to not stop or to not add. So that would be a great way to kind of frame things for the new year. We've had so many new listeners over the year, and I just wanted to say thank you for all of you that come and listen, whether it's one time or month in, month out. You can certainly show your appreciation if you are enjoying what we do by leaving a review and following us. And make sure that you know that we both have audio as well as YouTube on Pearl Planning Financial that's available for you into the new year. So, looking forward to more great things in 2026. But as I leave you with only hours before the new year, I just want to say thank you and share some gratitude and hope for a better money mindset as you enter a new phase. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Women's Money Wisdom podcast. If you found value in this episode, the best way that you can support the podcast is to forward an episode to a friend or leave a review. Go to proplan.com and the podcast link to get all the resources and links mentioned. This presentation by Pearl Planning is intended for general information purposes only. No portion of this presentation serves as a receipt of or a substitute for personal investment advice from Pearl Planning or any other investment professional of your choosing. Copies of Pearl Planning's current written disclosure brochure and Form CRS discussing our advisory services and fees are available upon request or on our website platform at pearlplan.com. The information that we share is meant to educate and inspire, not serve as personalized financial advice. Everyone's situation is unique, so be sure to consult with your own financial professional for guidance that fits your life. And just so you know, the opinions shared in this podcast are Melissa's own and those of her guests. They don't necessarily represent any organizations with which Melissa is affiliated. For more important disclosures, please go to our webpage at pearlplan.com.